Okay, so welcome to episode 4 with Brunch with Besties. I am Sherry Renee, and I have with me Lakeisha, Nadia, and Chanel. Say hi, ladies.
Hey everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so let's get started with a toast. So, Lakeisha, who are you toasting to today?
I don't have a toast. This week has been really crazy. So I'm just grateful to be here, actually. So, yeah.
Shouts out to being
All
here.
right.
And Chanel, who are you toasting to today?
I'm actually going to give a toast to myself because I'm definitely in the swing of school, and I'll talk further about it in my breaking bread about what I've been doing at school. But I'm really proud of myself. You set goals and you kind of see them come to life. So I think what I set to do is definitely playing out this school year. So I'm excited.
Awesome, awesome. And Miss Nadia, who are you toasting to?
I think this week I'm going to toast to my husband and my son. They have definitely been holding me down for the past 2 weeks. It hasn't been the best 2 weeks. I've been kind of not feeling myself, very sick, not with it. But they've been putting up with me and my craziness and been taking care of me. So shout out to them.
Yes. Shout out to them. That's great. That's great.
And I'm going to toast to Nadia because I got to witness some of her craziness the other day.
Oh, Lord.
And the things that her husband and son had to put up with. And it was hilarious from my standpoint, but I'm sure from their standpoint, probably not so much. But maybe we'll get into that a little bit later. So let's go ahead and break bread. Nadia, tell us what's going on.
Well, trying to get used to this pregnant life. It's really taken over compared to being pregnant at 16 and now being pregnant at 30. Child, I really feel like I'm handicapped and I should get like a disability.
No.
It has not been easy, but I'm not complaining because we prayed for this pregnancy and it's finally here. So just trying to take it one day at a time and just get used to, this being the new normal,
Right. Yes, so shouts out to Nadia for being pregnant. So I'll just interject really quick and share with you guys. I was talking to Nadia. Was that yesterday or the day before?
I think it was yesterday.
Okay, all my days run together, child, so I can't keep it straight. But I was on the phone with Nadia, and her husband came in the room, and I guess she must have. Did you spill some juice or something?
Yeah, I did. I was trying to pour some orange juice and it just went all bad.
Right.
Oh,
So
Lord.
her balance is all off. She's not coordinated. But in any case, she ended up spilling some orange juice. And so he comes in the room and he was like, how did you spill that? And she was like, just calm down, calm down. And I'm like, you realize that he is calm. You're the one who's acting crazy. Like she just went from like 0 to 100. She was being extremely dramatic. And I'm like, he's talking in his normal voice. Like
The struggle. These are the days of my life, guys.
Oh.
But we will post we'll post Nadia's announcement on our IG so you all can see
Yep.
it. So Lakeisha, what's going on with you, Miss Busy Lady?
Man, I kind of hate, like, I didn't see my therapist this week because she didn't have an opening. So I'm really kind of like, to see her next week.
I know
Because
that's right.
this just been crazy. Like, getting ready for events, financial stuff, unexpectedly. So, my brain ain't like here all the way for
Yeah.
it. So, but I'm here.
But you
But you're
here.
here. Won't he do it?
Won't he do
So
it?
tell us what's going on with your event. What are we doing today?
Today, I am working with Parkline Assembly of God. They are hosting, I believe it's their first annual Community We Care event at their church. On North Sherman Boulevard from 1 to 4. So they're giving out book bags to all the kiddos. I believe the kids do have to be present in order to get a book bag, but they're also partnering with another great organization, Jakari Kids for Kids, and he's giving out brand new, used slightly used name brand shoes.
Oh, cool.
And it's a really great selection. My kids helped yesterday pack stuff, and Janiyah walked away with like a pair of Jordans, and Josiah walked away with a pair of Rockport.
Oh, wow.
So
Look at God.
like he's doing some phenomenal things, but like the church itself is just doing really great stuff. So it'll be different community vendors there, Children's Hospital, the police and fire departments will be there. So y'all just come out and have a really good time today at 1 to 4 p.m.
And what are you doing at this event?
Well, I'll actually have a little table off to the side giving out information about the Evolving Chair Counseling and Consulting Agency.
Ooh,
So if you're looking for a therapist to work with your children or your family or yourself, please take the information and connect with me, as well as I'll be volunteering. So I'll actually be inside working at the book bag table. So, yeah.
Awesome.
That sounds awesome.
And we will be there to support.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll go ahead and break bread and tell you guys what I've been doing. So I've been planning our second annual Urban Bike Night event, which will take place at the Harley-Davidson Museum on September 14th. That is a Thursday. So this event is put on by Harley-Davidson employees. And it will be a phenomenal event. Last year we had a little bit over 1,000 people attend. So this event is for, it's specifically for African American and our Latino riders. So we're just inviting everybody out. If you ride, if you don't ride, if you thought about riding, if you want to come look at a bike, if you want to sit on a bike, if you want to learn a little bit more about Riders Academy and what that looks like, come and hang out. There's going to be lots of giveaways. We're going to have DJ Cheerio there. There's going to be some salsa dancing. It's going to be a great time. So look for the flyers on all social media platforms. Okay.
Cool. That's what's up.
Yeah, that should be real nice. Is it going to be at the same place at the museum?
At the Harley-Davidson Museum.
Very cool.
Yep. So Bike Night actually happens every Thursday throughout the summer. But this Bike Night in particular, we're taking it over and we're making it more about us.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, awesome.
I know that's right.
So look for that. Okay, so for today's episode, it's called...
So you ain't gonna let me break bread?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying. I'm sitting right with you, and you had...
I just skipped right over you.
Let me skip her. Okay.
Go ahead and break
I had to
bread,
interject
girl.
myself.
No breaking bread for you.
No. Okay. So at school, I'm an educator, and being an educator is a very thankless job. We don't hear it often, and we do a lot for our kids. Even this year, I came into the school year again, spending my own money for stuff in my classroom as far as materials and things that the kids would need. But we have a lot of students who, have stuff going on at home. They might have mental illnesses. It's just a lot. So it's a very urban type of school. And one of the students was just cutting up, like he was crying, he was kicking, like he just was over it. He didn't want to be there. So the dean of students brought him into my room, and he was still like cutting up. So me just talking to him, and I was kind of thinking about you, Lakeisha, like just talking to him and getting to know the why. So I'm talking to him like, I want you to roll on the floor. Like, don't you want to get up and sit down? And he was resistant at first, but then I kept talking to him. And then he was like, he said something about like dogs and his bike. So I'm asking him about the dogs and the bike, like getting to know him. And he started to tell me, oh, I like to cook, and me and my daddy cook. And then we just really had this full blown conversation. So it went from him kicking and screaming on the floor to now he's sitting in a chair, to now I'm holding his hand. We're walking to the bathroom because he wanted to change his pants or something. And then to him giving me a hug as he was leaving my classroom. So it's really about like really getting to know the kids and kind of loving on them and showing them that. And I was like, this is the first step for me into being in that administrative role, to be like, okay, I know I can do more to touch every kid, not just the kids in my own classroom.
Right.
So
definitely.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
yeah, I was proud. Like, wow. And then the dean of students, he came back the next day, like, thank you. Like, I more so deal with like the older students, so it's really hard to deal with like the little ones. So I was like, I got your back. And yeah, and the little boy, he didn't come to school the next day, but hopefully when he comes back on Monday, I'll touch bases with him to make sure he's okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, now Chanel, with your permission, can we please go into our topic for today?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, so today's topic, or the title of this podcast, is called "So You Want to Date Me?" So we are talking about dating. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with Chanel. So, how does being a young Black professional woman affect how we date?
I think it's kind of twofold. A lot of us are busy. Clearly, we're very busy, so dating can seem like a struggle. But I think on the other end, I don't want our guy listeners to think like, oh, they're professional women. I might not be a professional in the sense that, you know, I have a traditional career, that they can't approach us or talk to us. Just me personally, I guess I'll throw that out there. Like, I'm not going to be like, no, I can't date you because you're not a traditional professional person. I think professional in the sense that whatever you're doing, you're being professional about it, whether you're a poet or an artist or whatever you're doing, as long as you're professional about whatever you're doing. So I think that opens up to me at least wanting to date you and kind of get to know more about what you're doing. But I don't really think it affects us. There are many like career driven women who kind of, they have that light at the end of the tunnel. Like, I'm trying to achieve my goals. Like, I don't have time for men or dating or whatever it may be. But I think that's a choice. I don't really think it's affecting you. I mean, we all have choices to make. And if that's what someone wants to do, then by all means do it. But I don't think being a young Black professional woman and dating, I don't think it affects how I date or, you know, makes a decision in how I date, at least. That's just me personally. I don't know if anybody else wants to say how they feel. Oh, okay. So, guess that was a no.
Okay. So I don't know. So for me, I think that a lot of times there's a lot of assumptions that are made. So when people see you in a professional setting, they tend to put you out of their reach. And sometimes I think that there's just a lot of assumptions. And then even, so for example, there was this one time when I was with our friend Scarlett, so shouts out to Scarlett. I was with her and she and I, this was a long time ago, but she and I were talking to this one guy. And he was like, well, what are your requirements or blah, blah, blah. And so we started to list things off. And I said, he has to have a job. And he said, why does he have to have a lot of money? Da, da, da. And I said, I didn't say he had to. Right. You're not listening.
Right. I just said a job.
I said he has to have a job.
A job.
I didn't say how much money he had to make. He needs to be self-sufficient.
That's true.
Right. And so I think a lot of times people will say one thing, but they hear something totally different. You know what I mean? I didn't list any physical characteristics or anything. Again, I didn't put any restrictions on his income or anything like that, but that's what he heard.
Right.
So,
and it's always about, you know, the guy or whoever that guy may be, because I think me and you were out, Sherry, and we were on Water Street. Remember that young man was talking to us like for a long time?
Oh, yeah,
like we were out and he had to be like 21 or like something. Like we was being
a cougar that night, y'all.
Yes. And we came up to him and we were having that conversation like, nobody talking to us, like we just went out, like this is crazy. And then he comes up and he was like, hey, how you doing? Like he shook our hand and he was like real like on it, like on top of it, and we like, how old are you? Like, and then when he told us, he was like, like you too young. But he approached us in the right manner, and I feel like it's basically up to the guy to be like, either I'm going to try it or I'm not. And I feel like, shout out to young guys, I feel like they are more willing to be like, I'm gonna shoot my shot, I can miss, but I'm gonna still shoot my shot. Whereas maybe guys our age are like, no, like I'm not finna try that, cause yeah. And this is all assumption. So guy listeners, hey, if you disagree, hit us up on IG and be like, that's not accurate. We'd love to hear that.
Yeah, and then maybe we'll invite you on the show.
Absolutely.
To give us your perspective. So Lakeisha, what are some of the stereotypes of dating a young Black professional woman?
I think some of the stereotypes, one being if we're independent, because we may put that definition behind a young Black professional woman. You know, she's independent, got her own stuff, got degrees, things like that. So I think when guys think of that, oh, she doesn't need me. She has everything, so what can I offer? So them like they can't provide us with something because we're quote unquote so independent. And I think to go back to what you said, Sherry, how the guy was like, why does I have to have a lot of money when you like he just need a job. So, those preconceived notions of what our standards are without even really talking to us. So, right, one being, oh, you want me to be rich, making six figures, things like that. No, I just want you to have like goals, ambitions, and determination, whatever those may be. We need to be working toward those. What else? I think that another stereotype is that bougie. And I think just in the simple fact of, every Black person is raised differently. What we feel and value is different from home to home. And so if we may not align with something that, he may hold near and dear to his heart because that's how he was raised, and not necessarily giving him the side eye, but being like, oh, well, like, what is that? Or, tell me more about that. He may perceive that as, oh, what, you think you too good? Because, he may hear something that he wants to hear, which is automatically counting him out instead of really hearing what you're actually saying. I'm trying to think of what another one is. Like, those were like the key ones that I think of right off the bat, because I think the misconception with having master's degrees, people be like, oh, I'm out of their league, they're just bougie, uptight, like they can't hang with a brother and they want somebody else.
But that's true.
Right, that's the true nature of it, though.
So I have a question for you guys. This is Nadia speaking here, but so do we think that those are really all stereotypes, or is there some truth to some of those? And I only say that because I think about back years ago, child, because I'm old and I've been married for like 6 years, so the dating scene is kind of oof. But I think about when I met my husband and like when I was dating him. And I was already, I think I was graduating from undergrad, and I was going into the field of nursing. And I kind of did have that independent vibe. And like, I didn't realize it. I wasn't trying to put that out there or like make it seem like, oh, I don't need you. But I had gotten so used to being independent that then when it came time to let a man kind of come in and take that man role, like that was really hard for me, and it took me years to actually realize that that's what I was kind of portraying, so is there some truth to some of those stereotypes, or do you guys see yourself kind of exhibiting those sometimes without even knowing? Or
I feel like now more so for me, and Nadia, like Lakeisha said, like all of our experiences are different. So for you, like you had a kid, like you have been living on your own for so long and taking care of yourself that, it would be normal for you to have that. And that's kind of where I am too. Like I have a kid, like I'm used to like doing stuff on my own and not having that. So and when that does happen for me, it'll be like a learning experience. How can I release some of this to say, okay, now I have a helpmate. I don't have to do it all by myself. But I think that it like Lakeisha said, it's different for every Black woman, maybe. But I noticed that too, kind of in myself, like when I was living in North Carolina, and that's the South. So I was carrying a box or something, and this guy like got out his car, like he was all extra, but maybe he was trying to talk to me, I don't know. But he got out his car and he was like, let me help you with that. And I was just like, no, like I wish y'all could see me, like I kind of moved away, like I got it, like I don't need help with my box. But then I remember like I was having a conversation with somebody prior, like you need to release that and just let them help you, even if you don't need help, like just let them do it, like give up that independent. So I let him help me, and he carried the box in, and we kind of talked or whatever. So I think it's really different for everybody, because for me, I've had that experience too, where it's hard for me to kind of not be so independent because I've had to do it for so long on my own.
And so then what were some of the other stereotypes? So you said being independent,
being
bougie. So do we think that that's an accurate depiction?
I don't. For me, just me, this is Chanel. For me personally, like I'm definitely not the bougie type. Like, oh, I have a master's degree. Like, no, I'm down to earth. Like, I feel like sometimes I think to myself, like, I don't even need none of this stuff. Like, I'm gonna still be me. And I feel like I want guys to understand that you don't have to be on my level. And I'm not gonna put it in your face like, oh, I have a master's degree, you don't, I'm tight, you not. Like, I don't want them to have that type of feeling. But there are women, I'm not gonna say there are people, men and women, there are successful men who have master's degrees who's like, I'm not gonna talk to you because you're not on my level. So that can't happen.
I think it depends on what people's definition of bougie is, or like how they're using that. Because if we just being real, I feel like people have kind of called our group bougie. You know what I'm saying? And like, I'm kind of confused. Like, I don't feel like we're like bougie. Like, we just
Who said that about us?
Girls.
No, well, I'm gonna interject, Nadia, because you weren't able to make it. But we went to.
I was just gonna say
Great minds think alike. But we went to. So shouts out to Sweats and Suits.
Yes.
Podcast. Seth and Eric. They had a Black trivia night.
Oh, they were making fun of us.
Yeah, they did. And so Nadia wasn't able to make it, but Lakeisha, Chanel, and I went. And shouts out to Paris for filling in for Nadia. Because we were doing real good round 1 and 2.
We was killing it.
Killing it.
Yes. Oh, Dooch wasn't there either.
Yeah, Dooch, what's going on with that?
We missed it. It was fun.
But in any case, there was one point where Eric came by and he was like, y'all bougie with besties or something like that. He said. So
and he was,
but hold on. But anyway, how can he say that when they're hashtag the bougie
hangout? Exactly. And he was like, you got to have a 700 credit score to sit over here. And I was just like, sir, if you looked at my finances, you would be like, bro, are you crazy? Like, what's wrong with you? So no. But I guess that's how we carry ourselves. And if that's how we carry ourselves, we can't help that. But if you get to know us, then you would know that.
I definitely think that I've had people say to me a million times over after they get to know me, like, oh, I did not think that you were like this. Like, they had this whole different image of who I was if they don't know who I am. But then they like, you stupid in the mud.
Yes.
You silly.
Hilarious. So yeah.
So I would agree, Nadia.
If I could read the actual definition of bourgeois.
This is why they think we bougie, Lakeisha. This is why they think we bougie. First of all, why are you speaking French? That's number one. Number two, you got to bring in a definition.
I swear we are not. I just like to give people definitions and stats and data.
Come on.
Although some people be like, facts don't matter. I think shouts out to Tony from 72 and 10, right? He said that. But bourgeois is a critical term used to describe people, things, and places that are definitively high class. Something that is affected, inauthentic, gentrified, exclusive, and or otherwise filtered from the dirt and grime of the world.
Oh. I wasn't expecting that definition.
So what I'll say is I think the beauty of our group is that we have the ability to do both. You know what I mean? I know for me, I am the first person in my family to go to college, and I'm the only person with a master's degree. Yep. So I think that it would be crazy for me to be somehow out of reach of my own people.
Right.
You know what I mean? So while I want to set the trend and change some things and set new standards in my family and in my community, I also can't be out of reach.
Absolutely. So
I think that, again, once you get to really know us and really know who we are, then y'all be like, and this is the other thing too, when we walk outside, we're just black. They don't know how many degrees, and they don't care.
Not in 2017. They don't care. And
I'm just black.
I just feel like as long as we can handle ourselves in a business meeting and we know how to run a business meeting and make agendas and all that stuff that we, need to do to handle our business, but we can twerk to ratchet music just the same. So you got to have that balance. We got to be able to do both. So.
And actually, I was listening to Don't Take It Personal the other day, and I thought that it was amazing how they flip-flop.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Like, they'll have, like, some really intelligent discussions, and then they'll say, like, something kind of ignorant, and I think that that's us. You know what I mean? And so, it's not ignorant in the sense that really what I mean is funny, like really down to earth. So it's kind of like I can give you both.
Yeah.
Multifaceted, many layers.
Magic.
Magic.
There you go.
So let's talk about standards. So I kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, but I think a lot of times people make assumptions and say like, oh, you want a guy that's X, Y, and Z. And a lot of times they give me, so sometimes I'll ask guys, whoever, who's ever making this comment to me, I'll say, well, what do you think my standards are? Right. And they'll name a lot of either materialistic or physical standards. And I'm like, oh, well, then, honey, you don't know me.
Exactly. At all.
Because one thing that I've learned is that God looks at people's hearts, right? And so should I. Now, I'm not going to lie, though. My preference is always a black man. Heart good or not.
Listen, indeed.
That's
black
my preference.
men are everything.
That's my preference. I mean, I'm not going to shut anybody out, but that's the preference.
Listen.
But for me, it's God-fearing, kind, giving, family-oriented, friendly. Because one thing that I have learned, I've dated guys in the past who, make comments like, oh, I don't really have a lot of friends. They weren't with me and blah, blah, blah. And then later I was listening to this other, not podcast, but it was this online session. And the woman said, don't date men who do not have friends that they've been with for years, because that means that they're unfriendly.
Yeah. Like, why you got friends? You're a grown man.
Right,
That's weird.
Man. You should be able to have a friend for 20 years. You can't do that. Something wrong.
Something is wrong.
The problem is you.
That talks about your relationship skills.
Exactly. And the problem is you, because you're the common denominator. So if over your lifetime you could not find one or two good friends, you're unfriendly.
That's crazy.
And I can't have any dealings with you.
How is that even possible?
But I've dated guys where that was the case. And same thing, like when women say like, oh, I can't deal with women, or I can't. Yeah, it's probably them. The issue is probably them. Yeah. But so also stable. So that's where we go back to the job. And then I also look at how they treat people. Like if we're going out to dinner, how do you treat the wait staff, or how do you treat like just random people on the street? Because however you treat them is eventually how you're going to treat me.
Absolutely.
So, anybody else standards?
I'll do mine because I'm a single as well. But mine is similar to Sherry's. God-fearing, definitely. Family-oriented. I'm going to say educated. Now, you don't have to have went to college or anything like that. Like, I don't care, but I want you to be reading books and, like, be knowledgeable about things. That's important to me. Also just being willing to, again, not be a stepdad, but like a bonus dad. Like you have to come in knowing that I'm a package deal and I want my son to feel comfortable around you and be, blessed that he has, I have this extra person in my life who cares about me. You have to be funny. And I'm going to say that's probably like after God-fearing. Like if you're not funny in my book.
It was a close second.
It was a close second. You are like a waste of a human. Like if you can't make me laugh, it's a problem. Because if I have to carry our relationship and make both of us laugh, that's not going to work. Like no. So you got to come in being funny. And you have to like be outgoing. For me, because I'm pretty outgoing, so I feel like I don't know, I guess opposites attract too, so I don't know, but being outgoing is key. And smelling good, so if like colognes, that's great. So yeah,
that's funny. I'm gonna piggyback off of yours because I left a couple out, so I'm gonna say intellectual because I am very attracted to people's minds. So if this guy can teach me something, or show me something that I don't know,
I think the word is sapiosexual.
Yes.
Look at us being bougie again.
And then also he has to be able to lead. So for me to follow, I'm very much, so I have a whole idea of what type of wife I will be. And it will be, so although I'm very ambitious, I'm very career oriented and all those things, I want to cook and like I believe in gender roles. Okay. And so I want him to take the lead. But in order for him to take the lead and for me to follow, he's got to be a leader. And he's got to be able to lead.
I will second that, yes.
So Lakeisha, anything from you?
Y'all pretty much said them all. I don't want to sound redundant.
Okay. And Nadia, you off the market, honey. Right. So
you's married.
You's married now.
You already got your king.
You's pregnant now too.
Because I don't want to say that I didn't have standards, but I don't remember the list of your child. I don't know what I think we just spent to each other's arms or girl fate or something.
That's so sweet. But Nadia, you were the one who told me. You was like, girl, you got to make a list. Like, you need to write this down and put your standards on there, what you need in a man. And after you told me that, I went right to my notes in my phone. It was like, Nadia said I had to make a list. So I think I might still have it in here.
While she's looking, that's going to be really funny if she can find it, because this was 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, Nadia was really like, make your list.
But I remember Nadia. So the thing about Nadia is that she does not have a great memory, and this whole pregnancy brain isn't helping. But at the time when you were dating Miles, it was important to you that the guy that you date want to get married. That was important. And that he and also that he have a heart for children. And what else?
I will say that, pretty much almost everything that you guys said, I feel like are qualities within my husband, if for some reason I, was still on the dating scene, or if I had to get back on the dating scene, I think.
I hope that he doesn't listen to this podcast.
We're not claiming that at all.
Shout out to Nadia's husband, who hopefully is not a listener, because she's over here saying, in case I have to get back on the dating scene, I would want.
But we're not claiming that.
But no, I would think that like morals and values, kind of making sure that that's all in line would be important, because I think that was kind of the factor that kind of first drew me and my husband together. It was like, okay, so we kind of vibing on the same thing for this. Okay, like that's important, to me too. And then things just kind of took off from there. So yeah,
right, yeah,
boo. Okay, whatever.
But I'm gonna kind of circle back, because one thing that's also important is alignment. And so what I found, and this is, years ago when I was first starting off college, I had my boyfriend at the time wasn't going to college, and I was, and that drove a big wedge in our relationship. So he started to feel really insecure and things like that. But so I think, when you are dating someone and they do have the same educational background, you tend to be more aligned, because what that was like. You can relate on a different level. It doesn't mean that you can't relate to someone who didn't, but there needs to be other types of elements of the relationship that you can align with, or even it could just be them starting their own business, right? So maybe they didn't have the school experience, but they still had the grit. Yeah. So they were still able to accomplish their goals. Okay, so what about deal breakers?
For any of us?
Yes.
For me, the big one is smoking.
Oh
like,
my God,
maybe not weed. Like, okay, if you smoke weed, okay. But like cigarettes though, like, sir, what are you doing? It's not the 80s. Like, why are you smoking a cigarette? They still sell cigarettes. Like, that's old. Like, what are you doing?
That's crazy. For me, it's any type of smoke. Any type of smoke, I'm gonna kick you out.
Yes,
you're gonna see a whole different side.
I can't. Me. So smoking. What else?
Rude. When people are just, like I said, I definitely look at how people treat like a waitress. Maybe because I used to be one when I was in college. I don't know. But I just feel like when people when people literally classify different people and say like, oh, well, they're just this or they're just that. I don't know. That bothers me.
I have to. Okay. So I feel bad now. So yesterday I went to Cops. I'm sorry. This is like sidebar, but I went to Cops yesterday.
Shouts out to Cops. My first job. Me and Nadia.
Listen, I've been going there every day. Custard is life. I'm definitely a Wisconsin girl. So I've been going there every day. But I placed a phone order. So I got and y'all probably know, but I got in the wrong line. So I went to like the fountain line. So the girl's like, you got to go over there. And y'all know Cops be jumping. Like, it was weekend, everybody was there. So I'm like, where? Like, bro, like, there's no signage to say phone orders, go here. Like, how do you know if you don't know? But she was like, go over there. So she kind of yelled at me. So I was like, where? Like, I got mad. But then after, I was like, I feel bad. Because y'all know that's not my character. So I was like, I yelled at her. And I really felt bad about it. So sorry, young lady at Cops, I didn't mean it. But you yelled at me and you got a knee-jerk reaction. So I'm really sorry. I
she was probably some 16-year-old girl, first job like me. And
she was like, you all wange? Like, why are you yelling at me? She was probably going in on me. But I was just like, girl, I just want my custard. I just want to leave. So, sidebar. I'm sorry. But don't be
that's-
rude. Yeah, don't be rude. For me, another one would be like, okay, this is so materialistic. It is gonna sound real crazy, but like the way you look, like your appearance,
You are a stickler for that.
that's important to me because all the guys that I've ever dealt with, they have a look. They all have a look, and they're good looks. Like they look great. Like these guys are amazing guys. But you gotta look nice. Not saying you gotta wear Jordans or whatever, but whatever your style is, it needs to be nice.
You are a stickler for that, Chanel.
Yeah, 'cause you gotta have a haircut.
Chanel will screenshot it and send it to it and be like, what
Listen.
does he have on?
Listen.
Or she will call us and describe the outfit. So please.
And
oh my
I will be
goodness.
mad. So if you look crazy, I'll be like, no, like, because when I go out, so 99% of the week I look like a bum. But on that 1%, like on the weekend, I be fine. Like when I go out, like I go out because I never know who I'm gonna see. My husband could be outside, so I'm getting dressed. So if he's not taking the time to care about himself the way I do, then that's not gonna work. Like no
Alignment. It's all about alignment.
Yes, come on.
Any other deal breakers? God fearing. If he don't even know who God is, he's like, who? If I say God and he say who?
Right. Mike Jones. Listen. Mike Jones. No. God. Jesus. Our Lord and Savior. I'm telling you, that is a big one. Oh, or if he has a different religion and I have someone who...
Yeah. If he has you do.
He just won't let me live.
Chanel has an admirer.
Oh.
For since the 99, honey.
Literally.
In the 2000. And he just won't let her go.
I gotta fill y'all in later. This is a whole different
that's
topic.
not for
It's
this
not
discussion.
today. But yes. But if they're not, religion is tricky. So if they trying to tell you what you should be doing about somebody else, sir, no thanks. That's okay. So yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Okay. Well, let's move over to tea time. Doom, doom, doom.
I'm ready.
So today for tea time, we are going to interview Miss Chanel. She's going to give us some background on herself, and we are going to learn about her last relationship and see how she has grown and developed from that. Or
I have.
if she has.
Or am I still making the same mistakes?
It's just like, where are they now?
Right. So bad.
Okay, so Chanel, give us some background on you. Who are you? How old are you?
Okay, so
Kids,
I'm
longest
Chanel. I'm 30 years old. I have one son. He's 8. He's awesome. I've only had 3 real relationships. Like we were actually like, okay, you my man, I'm your girl, blah blah blah. I've had a lot of situationships, so I'm very experienced in the situationship. And if you don't know what a situationship is, that's where you two act like you are dating and exclusive, but you really aren't, and you're just kind of playing the game. So I've had a lot of experience with that. My longest relationship was almost 6 years. So I had a high school boyfriend. I had a college boyfriend who turned into my son's father. And then I had my most recent relationship. So my college boyfriend, which is my son's father, was the longest at almost 6 years. So I can withstand a long relationship. And my shortest would have been my last relationship. So there's that.
Okay, so tell us about the last relationship. How did you guys meet? What happened?
So the last relationship I was, so I knew him already, but I guess I never paid him any mind. So I remember first seeing him at an event that my sorority was having. And I was just like, wow, he's really handsome. Like, who is that? So my line sisters were like, yeah, that's so-and-so. Like, he's young, though. And I was just like, oh, no, he a baby? Like, no, like, let me just get over it. Forget it. So I didn't pay him any mind. And then when I came home from North Carolina, I was having my girls threw me a surprise party. And he was there taking pictures. But I had reached out to him prior, like, I'm having this party. Like, you should come. Like, you should take my pictures, because I knew that's what he was doing. He was like, yeah, like, I'll come. I'm going out of town, but if I can be there, I'll be there. So I'm like, oh, okay. So then I get to the party and he's there, and I'm just like, what? Like, oh my God, like he's there. So we're there, we're, turning up, celebrating my life on my fake birthday. And throughout the night, I'm just messing with him like, you a baby, like I'm a grown woman, like you can't handle me, like the whole night just messing with him. And he was just like, yeah, like, okay. So after that, like I'm turned up, it's my fake birthday, so I'm like out of it. So I crashed. I don't even remember how
I have the pictures.
Okay.
I might put them out on IG. I don't know.
I don't remember the next steps, but I remember waking up in different clothes. So somebody changed my clothes again. My friends are notorious for doing that. And I was in the bed. So I woke up and I'm just like, oh my God, like I was turned up. He probably like, she OC, like no. So we are texting each other back and forth. He was like, I just wanted to check on you, make sure you got home safe, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, yeah, like I made it home. So from that point, we started like texting each other like nonstop. So we're talking about everything. And he's really big into music. Mm-hmm. So that should have put that on my standards. That's another one. If you know music, I like 90% love you already. So he knew music. He would send me music. I would send him music. And it was just really dope. Like, wow, he's different. And then he was out of town. And while he was out of town, we were like FaceTiming. And I mean, not out of town. He was out the country. So he made an effort to like FaceTime me like every day. He would text me every day, I want to see you, like let's talk. And we would talk, and the time difference was like 6 hours or so. So I would stay up late, he would be up early. We were trying to talk to each other and make this work. So when he came back, it was actually Founders Day for my sorority. So when he got back into town, and then we met up and we kicked it, and it was really great. Like he came over, we listened to music again, we talked about everything, like just everything, and it was really awesome. So then from that point, we made it official. So to how he made it official, he got me a card, and the card was like, it feels like we've been together forever, blah blah blah, like. And then he had those old school like folded notes, like, do you want to go with me, yes or no? Like he kind of did that, and I was like, look at him trying to be like doing something special. So I was like, that was really sweet to ask me formally to be his girlfriend. So he did that, whatever. So we're out, and then we went on a vacation.
He proposed.
He yes, he girlfriend proposed. So it was really sweet. And I was just like, wow, because no guy has ever done that. Usually, if you a dude's girlfriend, if when his friends call, he like, hey, I'm with my girl.
Right.
Like that's
exactly.
how you know. Like,
or if he's introducing
or
you.
if he's introducing you, that's how you know. But he took it a step further and was like, I'm going to ask her, and then when people will be like, oh, that's my girl. So that was really sweet. And then, we were in the honeymoon phase. We went on a vacation. It was great. And then, I started to see stuff like through talking to him, like looking back, hindsight is always 20/20, but looking back, you can tell if something's going to work or if it's not going to work. Mm-hmm. And there were signs for me on my end to be like, nah, this not really finna go nowhere. But I was being optimistic and a hopeless romantic where I was just like, okay, we gonna do what we got to do to make it work.
So what were the signs?
One of the signs was he has a child as well, and the child is fairly young. So he's in the midst of trying to be a more permanent dad, where his situation is a little on the rocks. Mm-hmm. With the child's mom. So seeing that and just seeing how that was kind of unstable, like how can you have a relationship with someone else when you haven't really figured out this past relationship? So that was one sign where I should have been like, you know what, you need to do that because you can't do anything with me until you have that figured out. So that was one sign. Another sign was when we went to dinner. And we were just talking, and I was like, you know what, I'm dating for a purpose. Like, I'm trying to get married. Like, I tell every dude this, like, I'm getting married. So if you own that ship or not, you either need to get off the boat or, keep sailing with me. But I told him, I want to get married. He was like, I don't want to get married. Like, I've never seen any good examples of marriage or anything like that, which is valid, but that don't have anything to do with me and you. Like, I just don't like when people use that excuse. So I was just like, whatever. So that was a night, Nadia, we all went to the escape room, and we had this conversation, and I was just like, you know what, this is another sign, like, we ain't going nowhere. So when we got to the escape room, like I was trying to put on a happy face, but in my mind I was just like, this nigga, like I was really mad at him. Like, why? Like, you just, for what? Like, what we doing? So
that's crazy. I had no idea.
I know.
They're so cute.
I know. See, I was like, I'm gonna say this for them. Like, she gonna know today. But yeah, I was really like hurt by him. Like our dinner was real tense. Like we was both like, why? Like I was real mad at him. But we went and we had a good time anyway. So then this was a couple weeks later. This was when stuff started to hit the fan. So he was like, yeah, we need to talk. We need to talk. Like we hadn't seen each other because he lives in another city in Wisconsin. So he was kind of commuting back and forth. I guess I should have started with that. But we weren't seeing each other. We would only like talk or text or FaceTime. And it was starting to get annoying because I'm like, where you live is only an hour away. And I have a car. You have a car. Like, if you really wanted to see me, you would make it happen. And it just wasn't happening. So then he was like, yeah, we need to talk. We need to talk. So then it finally came down to him saying, you know, I can't do this right now. Like, it's just so much on my plate or whatever. So I'm thinking, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, duh, like, I knew that. But you kept saying, like, oh, I can make it work. I can make it work. And my big thing is just being honest with me. Like, if a guy kept it real, like, off jump, like, you know what, these are my intentions, this is what I want to do, then I would be like, okay, either I'm agree or I'm gonna be like, no, I don't want to do this with you. So just give me that option. Don't take that option away from me, or don't sell me a dream thinking that we're gonna be together when that's not your intentions for us. So that's kind of where it was on that end. So we broke up, I guess. And, you know, I cried because I was salty. Like, I really thought this was, in my mind, thinking, like, oh, I thought this would have been nice. Like, I thought we were going somewhere. But looking back, it's like, well, you had the signs, too. So I just can't put blame on him because I was ignoring those signs as well. So I have to hold myself accountable in the relationship. So looking back, I'm like, okay, well, you should have already took yourself out of it because you knew he wasn't ready for that. And he, not to make excuses, but he's younger than I am, too. So this was all a learning experience about what I'm going to accept post him and, you know, how I'm going to handle myself in the next relationship. But after we broke up, you know, we were still kind of cordial to each other, talking. He was still sending me music and I would be like, oh, okay, like, how's your day? Like, how's your kid or whatever? But then some shiesty stuff started to happen. So my LS text me one day. I'm at work too. She texts me like, yeah, you know, I don't know if you care about so and so, but he's smashing this girl and yeah, she, you know, blah blah blah. So I'm just like, I'm heated. I'm at work. I'm just like, I'm dealing with these kids and I'm just angry. Like, I was so mad. So I text him right away, like, you know, my thumbs were moving fast, like, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Like, why wouldn't you tell me that? Like, you told me you didn't want to do this, you wanted to be by yourself, but you smashed somebody else. Like, it had only been like 2 weeks or so. Like, it was a short period of time. And he's like, well, I don't care about her. Like, it was just something I needed to do. Like, if you wanted to go out and smash somebody, like, I wouldn't care. And I was just like, you sound dumb, dog. Like, that's that young mentality where I feel like if you say you need to get yourself together, you trying to work on X, Y, and Z, then do that. Like, focus on you. And again, that's something that, you know, he has to do within himself. And hopefully one day he can really stop and be like, okay, I'm really needing to focus on myself. So after that.
But isn't that how guys deal with stuff?
I guess they jump from one girl to the next. I mean, we would have to ask a lot of guys, but that's for sure what he did. And that happened to me in another relationship too. But I ain't gonna say too much on that because I might get a text later like, stop talking about me. So we'll leave that one alone. But it's all love regardless. Like, I still, like, big ups to these guys. But that's my whole thing. Like, just keep it real. But then after that, he did something else where I was just like, dude, like, stop making me look stupid. Like, don't make me look dumb. That's my big thing. Because Milwaukee is small.
Right.
We all know each other. So my thing is, if we gonna not be together, still put some respect on my name. Like, people know that we were together, so you still need to respect me and respect my feelings and be discreet. Like, come on, like, don't put people on the forefront and then people looking at me like she looks stupid. So he did something else that I didn't agree with. So then that's when I was really like, you know what? Let me block him on social media now. Like, now I'm done. Like, let me delete the text threads. Let me delete his number. Let me block his number. Like, I am done. And this is not to say that I don't, love him or care about him or wish the very best for him, because I do. But for my own peace of mind, I have to be done. Like, I have to completely shut the door and just be done with that. So that was that relationship in a nutshell.
Interesting. So then what changed? So I know that you don't remember that night, but Sherry has a really good memory. I remember everything. And so basically, I reached out to him and requested that he come and be the photographer.
Okay.
And he was really nice over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And then through some of our text exchanges, he made some comments like, oh, like, I'm so glad that, I'm going to be working on this project. I've been an admirer of Chanel for some time and things like that. And I was like, look at this young young man. And so, he came, he was very professional. He was there he actually, I think he had to rearrange his schedule to make it work. And then when he came, y'all was late because y'all trifling, but he was on time.
Wait, I was late? I don't not remember that. Lord.
But so throughout the night, he actually stayed. So he was like, you know what, I'm off the clock now, because we were paying him hourly.
Okay.
And he was like, no, but I'll just still, hang out or whatever. And he did a good job. He was very intellectual.
Mm-hmm.
We had some very deep discussions that night.
he's really like, yes, he reads
Right.
books. Like, he's that type.
He's that type. And so he was very different than the normal guys that you would date. And I in particular like the fact that he had a kid, because I was like, I don't think Chanel really has dated guys who had a kid.
That's a good point. I don't.
Usually when you are, telling me about your experience, you're like, and you always kind of feel like, and they're kind of disregarding your son.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, they don't even ask about my son, or
Yep.
they want to do this and do that, but what about
Yeah.
my son? And so I was like, oh, that'll be great, because he knows what that is
Mm-hmm.
like. So I thought,
Yeah.
like, oh, this will be good. This will be a good match.
And this is not to say that he's not, because he is, like, because I know some other people that have been in relationships with him or just know him. People who know him in general will say those things about him. That is his character. Like, he's very intellectual.
Yeah.
He's very artistic. He's very, like, caring. Like, I've seen the whole time we were together on numerous occasions, him reaching in his pocket, giving money to homeless people. That's just him,
Right.
who he is.
And he made himself really vulnerable that night in
Absolutely.
his discussions with us. So I was like,
Absolutely.
okay, like he's a little different.
That's who he is. Yep. But there are some things that he can work on.
What changed? What changed?
What changed for me and him was that we were not aligned as far as what our relationship goals were. So for me, like I said, like it's not that I'm chasing a husband, but that's definitely the end goal. Like, I know I want to be married, because that's just a goal that I've set for myself. Whereas, like I said, for him, he was like, I don't want to get married. I don't have any positive experiences of people being married. And, that's just not something I want to do. Whether he meant right now or in the near future, I don't really know. But when he said no, period, I was just like, no. Because then we're wasting each other's time. Like, I can't wait for you to get to where I am. It's just not going to work. So I think that's when I was just like, no, this is not going to work. And another thing is when he just wasn't making the appropriate time for me. Albeit I'm not a super needy chick, like, because I have stuff going on too. But I see you doing other stuff that could have been time that you could have spent with me, then that's a problem. Like, if you're doing stuff for your fraternity or you doing stuff with your friends, like, you could have been like, you know what, today I'm gonna allot this time for you, and that stuff will still be there, just like I was doing for him. Like, I'm busy too. Like, I'm in a sorority, I have a job, I have a kid, I'm doing all kinds of stuff. So it's just like making time, and that was important for me, and he wasn't meeting that.
So then, what if in a year we look up and he's married?
Ooh, Sherry Renee. I'm gonna, and here's why I'm going to feel some type of way about that, because this has happened to me before. Now, all three of my legit boyfriend, well, two of them are married already. So my son's father is married. Yay to them. And my high school boyfriend, he's also married. So yay to them. So for people to be like, okay, like I can't do this. And they, both of them told me like, I don't want to get married, like blah, blah, blah. I mean, I get it. Albeit people grow up, things change. But then don't say that, because then you got me feeling like I'm not good enough. And when a man makes a woman feel like she's not good enough, it really does something to your soul. And I'm slowly trying to overcome that feeling like I am good enough. I am worth it. It's just using the right verbiage. So don't say I'm not ready for this or I can't do this. Just say I don't want to do it with you. Like you're not who I want to be with. And I'm going to be salty, of course. But then I can be like, okay, I still know I'm worth it. I'm worth it to somebody else.
Right.
So
you think when they say this isn't what I want to do, that's really just a cop out?
It's a cop out.
It's an indirect way of saying I don't want to do it with you.
Exactly. It's exactly. And I don't want you to do that. I want you, because when I turn down a dude, I'm like, no, I don't want to do this with you because I don't like you like that. Like, I'm real direct. And I'm nice, but for most guys, like, if I don't like you, you definitely gonna know it, because I'm going to tell you so that you can leave me alone and you can go about your business and move on to the next woman. But for a guy to be like, you know what, this is not what I want to do. I want to work on my life and get myself together. Do that. But just say, I don't want to do it with you. It's very simple.
So when I asked what changed, you said him knowing that he doesn't want to be married, but then also just him wanting to spend that time with you. So why do you think that changed? Why did we go from all, post lovey-dovey, hanging out, doing everything together, to only FaceTiming and only texting? Why did that happen?
I think, I can't speak for him, but I think for me, I think I was giving him expectations he wasn't ready for. And maybe that kind of shied him away or like pushed him away. And I'm not going to say expectations like, oh, you have to do this, but I'm a grown woman. Like, I'm 30 years old. So stuff that I do that I was just like, no, like, I want to make sure we have date nights. I want to spend time with each other. I want to spend time with our kids together. And that stuff just wasn't happening. I don't think he was ready to make that jump to say, okay, I'm dealing with a 30-year-old woman. Like, she has these different expectations for me. And whether he agrees with that or not, but that's just how I felt on my end.
Is there anything that you wish that you would have done differently?
And this is, my mom tells me all the time, don't wear your heart on your sleeve. And that's definitely the type of person I am. Like, once I'm into somebody, I'm all in. I'm giving 110% with whatever guy I'm with. And we kind of talked about this, and there's reasons why I kind of grasp on like that. But I wish, looking back, that I would have just been a little more reserved with my heart, because now I've given him my heart and it didn't go as planned. So it's really taking me time to be like, okay, recover. So just being more guarded with my heart is what I wish I would have done.
So what does being guarded with your heart look like?
So that looks like just being reserved, listening for those signs and not putting all my cards on the table. So we're going out, holding him to that. And if it doesn't happen, just being adamant, like, you know what? You didn't do what you said you were going to do. Now I'm done. Like, at this point, people can't keep playing with my heart, because it's only so much hurt and damage that you can take before you turn into that bitter woman. Like, I don't need a man, or I don't never want to be. And I don't want to get to that point where I'm just bitter and I'm not open to love anymore.
So you also mentioned recover. What does that look like? How do you recover?
So on my blog, I blogged about this. So if you go on singlesinthecity.tumblr.com, I blogged about going on a mancation. And I didn't really set a time limit for myself for this mancation, but it's still going on. And I'm definitely more like adamant about, like I said, what I'm expecting and what I'm not going to tolerate. So, guys have tried to talk to me. They've been in my inbox. They've been texting me. But it's just like, you know what? This is not what I want. Like, I'm really at a point right now where I don't necessarily want anybody. And I'm not looking for anybody. And I think that's the beauty of where I am now versus before. Like, before I was always looking like, why isn't he trying to talk to me? Like, what's going on? Where is this now? It's just like, I don't care. Like, if a guy tries to talk to me or not. And I think some guys who've been trying to talk to me or in my inbox or texting me, they try to change my mind. And that's what I used to do with men. Like, I'm going to force you to try to want to be with me. But now it's just like, no, like, you can't change my mind. I don't want to. Like, I don't want to be with you. So I think that's the beauty of taking a mancation, where I really took a break. And now I really know, like, okay, this is what I'm willing to accept. This is the type of man I want to be with. And just healing my own heart to say, you know, I am worth it. Because for a while, like, that really took a toll on me, that I wasn't good enough to be a wife, or I wasn't worth getting married. Because like I said, my past boyfriends have all gotten married to different women, and I had to really look inside myself to say it wasn't you. Right. It was, you know, what they wanted, what they needed. So
it sounds like your mancation is centered around wholeness.
Yeah.
Just being whole. And so before you mentioned that there are some reasons why you behave certain ways in these relationships, what ways do you think that you're behaving, and what's causing that or triggering that?
So a lot of it is just not having that father figure. And me and my mom was talking about this the other day. So when you have a dad at home and he's present and he's married to your mom, definitely shows you as a young girl how a man is supposed to love a woman and how he's supposed to treat her. I think you learn that first from your dad. So when you don't have that, you have that missing piece. So now is whatever man that I'm dating or dealing with, I'm looking for that sense of, okay, this is how a man's supposed to treat me from them. When you really don't want to get in the habit of doing that at all, because most of these men didn't have that either. They didn't have that dad at home to show them, oh, this is how you treat a woman. So you're in that vicious cycle of forever looking for that missing piece in your dad. And men. But I will say, going to the Pinky Promise conference kind of refocused myself on, you know what? You didn't have a physical father at home, but you have a father in heaven. And he's always looking out for me. So if I could have a praise break right now, anytime I'm in a bind, or I'm like, oh, I can't pay for this, or I can't do this, or, you know, it's too hard, God provides all the time. And there's never been a moment where I had to question what he's done for me, or if he's going to do something for me, because he's always present in my life. So I had to really, and I saw that once we were at the Pink Promise conference, like, okay, you didn't have a dad. Boo-hoo. It's really sad and unfortunate, but you do have a father in heaven that's always looking out for you and that loves you unconditionally regardless, because I make so many mistakes and I do so much like bogus stuff where it's just like, he loves me anyway.
Right.
And once I realized that, now I'm looking for men who's going to love me like God will love me, and I shouldn't expect anything less than that.
Right.
Yes. Preach, honey. Preach.
Yes, you know, growth. Turn 30 and you just grow up.
You just shoot. So who taught you how to love?
Oh,
and what did they teach you?
I blogged about this as well. I think love is something that you learn how to do. And I will say my mom, so shout out to my mom.
Shout out to Chanel's mom.
She's a big lover. And she loves wholeheartedly. She doesn't ask for anything in return. She's just gonna love you because that's what we do. And that's how I am to this day too. Like, I don't ask questions. I don't need anything in return. I'm gonna love you because that's what I'm supposed to do. And I think if you look at the Bible, that's exactly what we're supposed to do. We were supposed to love each other as neighbors and just be kind, and that utopia type love, loving everybody. And I think that's where I got it from. I learned that from my mom, and that's kind of what I exhibit today as well.
I would agree. I think that you definitely do exhibit that type of love, because when you are with somebody, you are like their biggest cheerleader.
Absolutely.
Like, you're like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Either we in or we out.
And that's for everybody. And I posted a meme like that. Like, if you spend even an hour with me, I'm gonna make you believe that you can do anything in this world, because I feel like people need that. And whether you're getting it from me or from somebody else, but at least you could be like, well, she really like had my back and told me that I could do this. And I hope that anybody that I've ever talked to or touched or reached, I hope you know that it's coming from a sincere place. So if I ever said I'm rocking with you, your work is nice, like, I truly mean it, because I think I want you to be successful and I want to show that love, because it's crazy out here.
So since you brought it up, Love is supposed to be 16 things, right, according to the Bible. So I just pulled it up.
Oh, cool.
Because I don't remember it all,
right.
word for word. But love is patient, love is
Yes.
kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. It does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But when there are prophecies, okay, that's the end of it. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. But yeah, I think that you are, out of our group, probably the one with the biggest heart.
Oh.
And maybe
Yay.
that's why you work with kids. Because
and
you do make people feel like they can do anything.
That's totally my purpose. And you and I have talked about that before when you came to my school and saw me kind of in action. And Nadia, too, came to my school and kind of saw me in action. So that's definitely my purpose. And I feel like in the world we live in, you need people like that. So, albeit
Definitely.
I'm not the preacher or anything like that, but I'm giving you that love in a different type of way.
Right. It's your own ministry.
Absolutely.
So then, what was his purpose in your life?
Oh, wow. I would say his purpose in my life was being open, because I could have been like, no, like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to do this. And we kind of talked about this, like standards and deal breakers and what we expect from men. But I feel like for him, he has so many like no's against him where I still gave him a chance anyway. So no, like, you're in a fraternity.
I was going to say, I wasn't going to say this, but when you were at my house, so Chanel's party was at my house. So like, again, we invited him over. He was there. He was taking photos. Chanel was throwing shade at him
The whole
all
time.
night.
The whole
She
time.
was like, I don't talk to guys that are this young. Oh, you're in that fraternity? I don't do that fraternity. I don't do this. She was
The
being
whole time.
so... And so for me, what changed was he was pursuing you heavy, and then things flipped, and then you kind of became the pursuer.
Yep.
But
Yeah, and you sent me a video about that too, like how women need to I guess those roles that come in. So a man is the hunter. Like, you need to allow them to do that. Like, you can't step on a man's toes, and that's what I'm glad you brought that up. That's exactly what I was doing. Like, when we would go out, I planned all the dates. Like, I made all that stuff happen, when that's something he should have been doing. That's your role as the man. Not saying that every time, but for, I want to say, like 90% of us going out, it was stuff that I had planned for us to do.
So sidebar, I was listening to Egos and Opinions last night. So shouts out to them. They did their first live episode. They were getting ready for the Milwaukee Podcast Festival because they will be here for that. So they were doing kind of like a test run. So they did a live show in Houston, and a guy got on the mic and said, "Why do I have to plan everything? Why do why can't you plan part of it? Why can't that type of thing?"
That is so funny. I feel like as a man, like you said, like, if you want me to follow you, you have to be able to lead. And being a good leader means you're able to plan and execute things. And if you can't even do that as far as a date, then that's a problem. And I'm not saying a man is supposed to do every single date. I have no problem with surprising my man or, doing something special for him. But if I'm doing all that work and you're not doing any of it, then that's a problem. So that's kind of, looking back, that I saw that was a red flag as well. What were we talking about before that? Sorry.
His purpose.
Oh, his purpose. Yes. So then, like I said, his purpose in my life was being open, because I was very shut off, and I think I was getting to that bitter point at that point, because I hadn't been in a relationship. I was living in North Carolina. I was very depressed and sad and lonely. So I think I was getting to that bitter place where I didn't want to be with anybody. Like, no. But he, like you said, he pursued me. He kind of opened my eyes to say, like, they don't always have to look like this ideal image you have in your head, because I have a type. Like, I like brown skinned dudes, low cuts, like, they all pretty much look the same. But he was very different from what I was used to dating. So I guess looking forward, like, now I'm more open to what I'm willing to date. Not saying that I'm going to be lax about my expectations, because that's still going to be the same, but I'm more open to, the possibility of dating different kinds of guys, as long as they black. I want to say that. Because, yeah.
That's funny.
They got to be black.
So then, what did you like about him?
Oh, I can shout him out. He's, like you said, he's very intellectual. He, like, for Valentine's Day, I got him a bunch of books, and he was, like, really stoked about it. Like, oh, my God, like, you bought me books. Like, that's so dope. Like, I can't believe you did that. So I got him books, and he read all of them. Like, what else? He's very artistic. So I like that about him. Very, like, creative. I thought that was really dope because I'm not creative, but I have a lot of ideas in my head, and like we would just kind of go back and forth, like sharing ideas of what, you know, we could both do. And he was very like you said, he's very open, like he's willing to share anything. And I really like that about him, that he was kind of transparent in everything that he did, even when he was doing wrong. And even, you know, he kind of reached out to me later and apologized. And even when he was wrong, he was still being transparent. And I kind of appreciate that. Like, I was mad, like, don't text me, like, don't apologize to me now. But looking back, like, I'm glad he did it. And I hope and pray that he, you know, fixes himself and becomes whole for himself, because he is a great guy. And I think any woman that, you know, gets him in the future, once he's whole, is going to be a very lucky woman, because he's a really, really great guy, really sweet, give you the shirt off his back. So he reminds me a lot of my mom, like that lover, like I'm willing to give you whatever. So he's a good dude. He just, you know, like me, we both have to get whole on our own and figure out those pieces for ourselves.
So then, what in particular didn't you like?
I didn't like the unresolvedness of the situation with his son and the child's mom. I didn't like that. And just how he kind of kept the door open and he didn't seem like he was willing to resolve it. I didn't like that about him, where I get it. Like, that's your kid's mom. Like, you want to make sure she's straight. You want to make sure your kid's straight. But if you're not married to this person, you kind of got to let them go, and they have to let you go. Like, you have to resolve that. Whereas for my son's father, like, shout out to him, like, we're really in a great place as far as co-parenting. We do a really amazing job, and shout out to him. Sometimes he does a better job than I do. Like, my son's dad is always on it. Whatever my kid needs, like, his dad is there. So we're really in a great place. Like, shout out to him and his wife. They're doing a really good job as far as loving my son and, you know, making sure he has what he needs. So we're in a really good place right now. So I was hoping that he could get to that place. But again, experiences are different. Time heals everything. So with their child being so young, it's still a lot of hurt and resentment and all kinds of things going on. Whereas for me, my kid is 8. Like, we had our rough patch, and now we're to a point where we're like, okay, now it's all about my son. We're more aligned now. Whereas he wasn't there yet. And he would ask me for advice, and I'm like, you know, like, it's going to hurt for a while. But you all have to get to a place where you're specifically doing it for the child. Whatever is happening, whatever conversations that are happening is only about the child. Like, I don't text my son, father, like, hey, how you doing? Like, how was your day? No, right. For what? Like, I don't need to do that. But if I'm like, well, my son needs X, Y, and Z, he's like, okay, I got it. Or my son needs to be picked up. He's like, okay, I got it. So we communicate only about our kid. And he wasn't there, and I didn't like that. And I didn't like being put in the middle of it. It was just weird.
Yeah, that is odd.
So,
but, you know, maybe he was thinking, she's a teacher. She gonna tell me.
You're right. This teacher had only go so far, because I was just like, I'm not, what's dude's name? Dr. Phil. I can't do this.
So the other thing that I've noticed, whenever you break up with somebody, and I kind of made this up, or I talked about it last time, is you change your hair.
I do. And I'm trying to think, did I, after we broke up? I didn't do like a drastic change, because I was still doing the faux locks.
Okay.
So I had those, and then I had got crochet. Shout out to Nadia for my beautiful crochet. And then I got faux locks again. So I didn't do a drastic change. So maybe I wasn't as hurt as I thought I was, because most of the time I go drastic. Like, I'm dyeing my hair, I'm cutting it, I do like everything. Like,
I'm like, who is that?
I'm really drastic about it. Or maybe that's growth too, because I was in my 20s. And now I'm 30. I'm like, I'm trying to get my hair where I need it to go. So I can't be doing the most now.
You said, you know, when you die, it breaks off. I can't do all that.
I saw some grays in my head. I'm like, I'm getting old. Like, we can't be doing drastic at this point. Like, no. So,
but what is that about? What's the transformation of the hair? Like, what does that signify, or what are we really doing when we do that?
I just think it's just a new you. Like, you want to feel new. And I'll give an example. Like, after I broke up with my son's father, I think I went drastic there too. I did a big chop. Yeah. Cut all my hair off.
I was like, natural. Wait, yes. What?
Cut all my hair off, went natural, because I was really like, I need to find who I am. Right. And when you're in a relationship with somebody for almost 6 years, and we were so young, like we were 19 years old when we first got together, and you know. So it was really me finding who Chanel was after all of this has happened, because I was his girlfriend. I was my son's mom. Like, I had lost who I was in the midst of all that. So it was really about me finding who I was.
So you went back to the roots, honey, and said, I'm going to go natural.
I went natural. I had to start over. But then I was like, I was sad.
Then you was like, Nadia, I'm gonna need you to crochet this.
Listen, I think I got some braids like right after that. Like, oh no, this ain't gonna work. But shout out to you naturals, because I'd be struggling. I'm natural right now too, but yeah, I have on a head wrap because I'd be struggling, and I'm gonna get some braids real soon. So yeah.
Okay, I think that's all the questions I have, unless you have anything to add, Miss Nadia.
No, I don't. I think you guys did a pretty good job. I feel like we've learned a lot today, Chanel.
Yay!
And hopefully we can help some people.
Absolutely, hopefully, yes.
And, transparent.
Yes, hopefully we can help some other people, because I know a lot of people follow my blog and they're just like, girl, like, I went through the same thing, or girl, this is so true. So on my blog, I'm definitely being transparent. This is what I've gone through. Like, some people be like, you can't say that, but it's my truth. So whatever I'm writing down, this is all the things that I've gone through, and this is how I've learned from it. So I say that to say, you know, we've all been hurt, but it's about how you recover from that, how you grow from that, and you can't stay in that hurt place. And being single, the whole purpose of my blog is just being happy in your single season. A lot of people are real sad. Like, I don't want to be single. I need somebody, because you see all these pictures on Instagram and Facebook of these couples that are pretending to be so happy. But we don't know what's going on in people's relationships. Like, be happy with who you are. Get yourself whole. Love yourself. And then you'll have better relationships. And I'm hoping to see the end result of that, because now I really do love myself. And I do feel like I'm getting whole and my heart is recovering. So now I love me. So whether you gonna love me or not, I'm okay with that. Right. And now it's just finding a man who's going to enhance that love and, you know, bring out more of me. We gonna pour into each other. So that's where we are.
Okay, so then let's go into dessert. So any final thoughts, Miss Chanel? Single in the City. At Single in the City _
Yes, I was just gonna say, follow my blog page on Instagram. So like Sherry said, at Singles in the City _ and read some of my blogs. If you're out there, you're single, men and women. If you're single out there and you're like, I don't like this single phase, go read some of my blogs and, you know, see what I've been going through. So singlesinthecity .tumblr.com.
Awesome. Any final thoughts from you, Nadia?
I guess I'll just say, you know, for those of you who are single, you know, just keep the faith, I guess, be open, still keep your standards and be open, and know that, you know, God's plan is greater and better than anything that you can imagine for yourself. So just let him do the work and everything will be all right.
Amen.
Amen. And so my final thought is, we accept the love we think we deserve.
Amen.
So, thank you guys for tuning in for episode 4 with Brunch with Besties. Until next time. Peace.
Thank you for listening to Brunch with Besties. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to shoot us an email at brunchwithbestiespodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram. Our handle is at brunchwithbestiespodcast. For right now, you can listen on SoundCloud. Be sure to review, subscribe, and comment. We appreciate it. Thank you.